Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, a few of you have messaged me, so I thought let's just make a quick video where I kind of explain how this could happen. I'm sure you've seen my previous video. I'm sure you've seen what's happened in the market. Luna and UST, the Terra ecosystem's pretty much collapsed. Unfortunately, many of us have got completely destroyed, completely wrecked. And you can just look at the chart for yourself. I mean, just a week ago, we were at this $90 range. Not even long ago, we were at all-time highs at $120. It's even worse if you look at the UST chart, which, yeah, I mean, just look at that. Tells you a story, doesn't it? So how has this happened? Why has this happened? What exactly has gone on? Because a lot of people are a bit unsure, and to be honest, it is a little bit confusing, and you do need to understand and appreciate a few different things to really see what's happened here. I think the first thing that I think is important to show you is just kind of how Luna and UST behave with one another. And this kind of diagram kind of illustrates this. Essentially, you've got two tokens. You've got UST and you've got Luna. UST being an algorithmic stablecoin, which at times can be above $1 and can be below $1. But the algorithm should in fact help it to remain at its $1 peg. Now, Luna is the governance token for the Terra network. It's used for staking, and its value comes from there really. It's also used in transaction fees and various other things as well. So when UST goes above peg, so when it goes above $1, well, you can do a number of things. You can sell it on the market, and because it should only be worth $1, and you should be able to make your gains from there. So as you can see, just written here, sell UST on the open market because it's above the peg. It should be $1. At times it's gone to $1.01, $1.02, and during those times, yeah, you just sell it on the open market, and you could do that, and that's happened many times. Now, what happens is that when UST goes below peg, so below $1, well, then what you can actually do is you can actually redeem your one UST for $1 worth of Luna. So, let's say if Luna was $100, well, you could actually redeem your one UST for 0.01 Luna. And you should be able to do that on Terra Station. You should be able to go to the swap, and you should be able to do it right here. Now, that's pretty much how it works. Now, in order to kind of create more UST in circulation, you have to burn Luna, which is why for a long time the Luna supply was just constantly going down. It was great for the price of Luna, and it was purely because UST was so in demand, and that's because of the amazing applications, but predominantly because everyone loved that 20% yield coming from Anchor Protocol. Now, that's basically how the peg works. And like I mentioned, it worked completely fine. Now, the question that a lot of people are asking is, right, if you've got this system in place where when it goes below peg, you should be able to redeem your UST for $1 worth of Luna, why did it not work this time? And to kind of appreciate that, we need to see exactly what happened a few days back. Now, Curve is a protocol. It's actually the largest protocol in crypto, and it's predominantly a stablecoin swap platform. You've got loads of stable coins, and you just swap them from one to another. And there's one particular pool on here called the 3 pool. And UST was paired with this 3 pool, and the 3 pool consists of DAI, USDC, and USDT, arguably the 3 biggest stablecoins. I know you've got a few others like BUSD as well, but yeah, this is basically a place where you can kind of swap your UST to USDC, or you can swap USDT to USDC, and it's great because you can kind of get the best exchange rates here. There's deep liquidity, and yeah, it works really well. Now, Terraform Labs, or what they wanted to do was they actually wanted to create a different pool altogether called the 4 pool. And in that pool, there was UST of course, 3 other stablecoins, Frax I believe, USDC and USDT. Now that 4 pool was going to have significantly deep liquidity. I'm talking billions of dollars. And what they had to do with the 3 curve pool with UST is they had to actually remove some of that UST in anticipation for the 4 curve pool, which was coming, I believe, next week. Now when that happened, the liquidity in the 3 curve pool wasn't as high as it could have been. And as a result, it only required about $350 million worth of UST to be sold off in order to create a small DPEG. So someone, we don't know who it is, but someone triggered this all off by causing a $350 million sale of UST on curve. And that caused UST's price to go to 0.99. And that was the first thing that happened. Now at the same time, they were also selling UST on Binance as well. As a result, on Binance, I believe UST also went down. So it probably went down to between 0.99 and 0.98, somewhere around there. Once that happened, well, some people decided to panic a little bit. I believe there was a lot of FUD at the same time on Twitter. People talking, people tweeting about a possible bank run on Anchor. And at the time I saw this happening myself live. I actually went to Anchor myself and I could see that the total deposits were actually going down. If we go back a few days ago, the total deposits were, around 14 billion UST. Obviously now we've lost 90% of that. And at the time I could see about 100 million UST leaving every hour or so. Now, I wasn't too concerned about this because like we just discussed before, when the peg goes below $1, you can redeem it for $1 worth of Luna. Now, here's where the issue comes. All of this at the same time actually led to about 2 billion UST leaving Anchor in one evening, essentially. All of that UST was sold. And the first thing that happened was there was an imbalance on the curve pool, meaning that this kind of peg dropped even further. Now, a lot of people were redeeming this UST for $1 worth of Luna and just dumping it on the market. As a result, Luna went from $88 probably down to 60 and then down to 20, like all within the space of I think it was more like 60 down to like 30 or something like that. It basically dropped 50% in value, like literally overnight. That is kind of when things started to go wrong. Now, one of the reasons why it started to go wrong was because when you actually redeem on Terra Station to try and get your $1 worth of Luna, well, there's only a certain amount that could be done, after which it doesn't become profitable anymore because of slippage fees and I think various other transaction factors. So because there was only so much that could be kind of transacted, I think it just led to mass panic and we got tons of sell pressure. Everyone from Anchor was trying to leave. Everyone was trying to just get their UST or get their Luna onto a centralized exchange, and it caused a death spiral. And as a result, UST just couldn't get back to peg. Now, a lot of you will also be asking what happened with this plan. Now, Do Kwon, who is the CEO of Terraform Labs, he had a plan to buy a lot of Bitcoin, and they did actually buy a lot of Bitcoin. They bought billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin was meant to be a reserve for whenever UST lost its peg, and it was meant to be deployed basically in situations like this. Now, we don't exactly know what's happened, but I think that they used the entire Bitcoin reserve and it just didn't have any left. And I think this happened when, if we look at UST's price, Let's have a look. Let's change to the 1 hour chart. Maybe we can kind of appreciate this a bit more. So from the initial depegging, we went all the way as low as 0.6. And I think at this point here, probably they used the Bitcoin reserve to try and get themselves back as high as possible. Unfortunately, they just didn't have enough. The sell pressure on UST was too high. There's too much bad debt. And yeah, they just couldn't get it back. It was hovering around 0.9. We had further dips, went back up to 0.85. Yeah, unfortunately, at this point in time, I still believe that there was a plan. They tweeted out that there was a plan. Let's see if I can show you that. You know, close to announcing a recovery plan for UST. Getting close, stay strong, deploying more capital, steady lads. You know, at this point in time, I genuinely thought that things would be okay and we would kind of regain peg there. And then, yeah, after that, it just spiraled out of control. The sell pressure on Luna was too high. Luna was just constantly being minted. Now, if we go back to this situation, well, you know, when UST is below peg, you're minting $1 worth of Luna, and you know that UST is burning. So Luna supply went from 300 million to 1 billion to 2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion, and I don't even want to look at what it is right now. 6.91 trillion. So Luna went into hyperinflation. So everyone was just trying to redeem whatever they could. Yep. As you can see, look at the Luna's price now. Luna's absolutely destroyed. I think Terraform Labs realized that they could only save one of the two assets. Luna was suffering from extreme hyperinflation. UST couldn't be redeemed enough. The supply was too high. The supply couldn't decrease fast enough. Couldn't regain peg. There wasn't enough buying pressure. Yeah, it was a death spiral and a bank run. That's basically what happened. And I mean, yeah, you can see the deposits going from 14 billion to 1.5 billion UST, which is still in anger today. I mean, there's still a lot of money, but I guess there's just nowhere to sell it. I mean, you can just go on Binance and, you know, get $0.13 for it. But I mean, you're selling $1 for 0.13, you're making an 87% loss on your dollars. It really does hurt, but I mean, I don't know what other option there is at the moment, really. Basically, that's what's happened. Luna's supply is constantly going to increase, and that's because of the mechanism that's in place with UST and Luna, where as long as UST is below, you're going to keep minting $1 worth of Luna and try and burn that UST. That UST supply did decrease. It went from about 19 billion to about 11 billion or something like that. I'm not too sure what it is at the moment. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can have a look on here. Terra Analytics. Yeah, so UST supply is 11.3 billion. Just didn't go down enough. You know, it really needs to go down to like 1 billion. So yeah, there's just far too much UST supply. Most of it was in the form of leverage, which came from a lot of these applications. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, there just wasn't enough firepower to buy back the UST, and yeah, a death spiral occurred, and as a result, Luna is worthless. So yeah, that's just to summarize. We covered kind of how Luna and UST work together. We covered Anchor Protocol and the mass panic that occurred with all of these withdrawals and all of that sell pressure, as well as the fact that of the initial depeg that happened via Curve and how that liquidity just kind of drained altogether. I mean, look at the reserves right now. 99.1% of it is in UST, with less than 1% being in the rest of the three assets. So it's hardly anything. And as a result, you're getting a conversion rate, as we speak, of $1 to 0.13. We covered kind of how you could actually redeem your UST by minting $1 worth of Luna. And we talked about the Bitcoin plan, which just didn't work. Now, unfortunately, we don't really know exactly what's happened to the Bitcoin. There's no confirmation, there's no information at all. So maybe we'll find out in the future. Maybe there'll be some more investigations. But that's essentially the death spiral and the bank run. And that's essentially how UST and Luna have basically become worthless. And the entire Terra ecosystem has collapsed, leading to hundreds of thousands of investors like you and me, of course. I've got absolutely wrecked from this, to lose significant chunks of money. So that's pretty much what's happened. I hope that clarifies things. If you've got any questions about it, let me know in the comment section below. I'll try and address them. I guess this will be a case that goes into history. People will remember this week for forever, really. This won't be forgotten from crypto history. You know, you're talking about over $50 billion worth of value just collapsing in a day or so. Quite unremarkable, really. Quite remarkable, sorry. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support and the nice comments. Hopefully we can build back from this. But yeah, I'll be back with another video soon.